Like oil and water, Chinese companies and Japanese companies won't be able to coexist in global supply chains from now onwards. The reason, you may ask? Well, a new anti-China law is all set to be enacted by Tokyo any time now, and this will spell disaster for the Chinese economy. Hi and welcome. You are watching TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I am your host Sanbir, and in this video, I will tell you how Japan's new anti-China law is all set to bleed the Chinese economy. Let's begin. If any development has hurt China over the past 2 years, it has to be the exodus of Japanese companies from the communist nation. Tokyo has tactfully set this phase-wise exodus in motion so that this transition goes smoothly for Japan but gives night terrors to the Chinese economy. The campaign to bring all Japanese companies out of China was kick-started by former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in 2020. Tokyo had then announced an incentive package of $653 million to encourage Japanese companies to dump China and set their production bases in either Japan or any Southeast Asian nations.
Hey, it's me Atul. I started this channel. We started small, we went big. Suddenly, the Whitey police was after us. We dodged and ducked, but the algos got us really bad. So we designed our own app. It's free. We never asked for money, we never will. But the droid called us too sensitive and blocked us. We still have an Apple app. Join us and fast, because if you don't, we will cease to exist. Check out the link in the description.
Now, under the leadership of current Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, Japan is giving a final push to Japanese companies working abroad in a bid to render their supply chains utterly China-free. And to bring this ambition to reality, Japan has now hit China with a human rights club straight on its head. On Tuesday, the Japanese government announced that it will draw up guidelines to help companies prevent human rights abuses across the nation's supply chains. Even a minute element of human rights violation in its supply chains can hamper the trading ability of a Japanese company working abroad or a foreign company working in China. Japan's Industry Minister Koichi Hagiuda said, "Based on discussions on international cooperation and other factors, we'll consider further measures, including the possibility of formulating legislation to tackle human rights abuses in supply chains." Only last December, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida had appointed former Defense Minister General Nakatani to a new post of Human Rights Advisor. Now, the advisor has warned the companies to comply with new regulations as soon as possible to avoid any disruptions in their business. Make no mistake, about 30% of Japanese companies lack a corporate policy to prevent human rights abuses in their supply chains. Now, the government is going to enforce the human rights law on their businesses, and it is going to set another and final exodus of Japanese companies in motion from China. We know how slavery and forced labor constitute an indispensable role in the Chinese supply chains. State-sponsored programs in China, out of which some are even funded by the World Bank and its subsidiaries, have been accused of promoting child labor and human rights abuses in Xinjiang. So, even if the Japanese human rights law doesn't mention China by name, it is shaped in a way to hurt the Chinese economy the most. China's precarious regime cannot guarantee human rights to all its citizens, especially those who live in conflict-ridden zones like Inner Mongolia, Tibet, Xinjiang, and Hong Kong. So, any Japanese company having even remote ties with a Chinese company will now be put under scanner by Tokyo. This will make Chinese companies untouchable for the Japanese businesses and further exacerbate woes for the Chinese economy. Given the sheer size of trade volume between the two nations, the move by Japan will surely hit the Chinese economy in the most brutal possible way.